This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's December 30th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Former President Jimmy Carter, who, among his greatest achievements, brokered peace in the Middle East,
an achievement none thought possible,
has died. I'm Jim Roope.
A tornado outbreak rips across the South.
There was a tornado outside the windows.
I'm Clayton Neville.
A passenger plane has burst into flames after it skidded off a runway at a South Korean airport. I'm Naeun Kim.
A search for Bigfoot ends tragically for two men from Oregon.
Santa Claus apparently went directly back to the North Pole after Christmas and failed to show up for his usual visit to Wall Street. I'm Peter Schacknow.
A federal judge is signaling that Rudy Giuliani's contempt hearing next Friday might not end so well. Julie Walker, New York.
The winning ticket for Friday's Mega Millions jackpot was sold in Cottonwood, California. I'm Jackie Quinn.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The 39th president and longest-lived former president in American history, Jimmy Carter, has passed away at the age of 100. Jim Roope has a look at his legacy.
Jimmy Carter, a Georgia peanut farmer who rose to become governor of that state, was elected to President of the United States in 1976, beating incumbent President Gerald Ford, who became president after Richard Nixon resigned in the wake of the Watergate scandal.
We can make our nation's government great and a source of pride once again.
His administration faced several challenges, including the energy crisis.
Unless profound changes are made to lower oil consumption, we now believe that early in the 1980s, the world will be demanding more oil than it can produce.
He struggled to end the Iranian hostage crisis in 1979 when students in Tehran seized the U.S. embassy and took 52 Americans hostage.
We refuse to permit the use of terrorism and the seizure and the holding of hostages to impose political demands.
It took more than a year, 444 days to end that crisis. Many historians point to that as one of the biggest reasons behind the resounding defeat to Ronald Reagan in 1980. Historians, though, also point to one of his greatest successes, the bringing together of Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin at Camp David and brokered peace in the Middle East, not seen since 1948.
A significant achievement in the cause of peace, an achievement none thought possible a year ago, or even a month ago.
He was tough on the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Carter ordered an embargo on the shipment of American grain to the Soviet Union and boycotted the 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow over Russia's invasion of Afghanistan. Mr. Carter also brokered the Panama Canal Treaty, which has been in the news recently.
The American people are big enough and strong enough, courageous enough, and understanding enough to be proud of what has been accomplished. And I believe that this treaty can open up a new era of understanding and comprehension, friendship, and mutual respect throughout not only this hemisphere, but throughout the world.
After his presidency, Mr. Carter went on to become an active humanitarian. He worked with Habitat for Humanity in communities throughout Georgia and globally for nearly 40 years. He was also a 9-time Grammy nominee and a 2-time Grammy winner in the spoken word category. Jimmy Carter was 100. I'm Jim Roope.
The New York Times is reporting the 39th president is expected to lie in state in both the Georgia state capitol and the U.S. Capitol. President Biden orders American flags to be flown at half-mast for 30 days. He's also marked January 9th as a national day of mourning. At least 4 people are dead after a string of tornadoes ripped through parts of the South over the weekend. Correspondent Clayton Neville brings us the scope of the damage and where the storm is heading next.
6 states impacted by late December twisters. Over the weekend, at least 38 tornadoes were reported across Arkansas, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, and in Texas. Video captured and shared on social media.
You guys, that's an actual tornado out here.
Sounds like a train.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves confirmed 2 storm-related deaths in his state and said that damage is reported in at least 14 counties. As many as 100,000 residents lost power in the storm in Mississippi. ABC News spoke with residents who survived the outbreak.
I looked out the window and there was a tornado outside the window, so it was pretty much like almost instantaneous. Lights went out.
In North Carolina, a man reportedly was killed when a tree fell on his truck. In near Katy, Texas, outside Houston, a tornado wreaked havoc. These residents spoke with KPRC TV.
Thank God. I was a little scared when I saw the fire truck came through.
So I went outside to check if there's like something happening. And I saw like a big wind like happening right there. And it's just like from the big tornado. And within like 10 seconds of time, it just came right at us.
Authorities in Texas say one person was killed in the area near Liverpool in a suspected twister. That same system now tracking east. Heavy rain expected to move across the mid-Atlantic and track into the northeastern states through the morning hours today. I'm Clayton Neville.
The top stories of the day is sponsored by Sleep Number. And now it's the lowest price of the season on the top-selling i8 smart bed. Your best savings plus special financing limited time. See store or sleepnumber.com for details. Russia accused of shooting down a passenger airliner. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy has the national forecast to start your week.
The storm that produced a lot of severe weather this past weekend, including many tornadoes, is now heading to the north of the eastern Great Lakes and its associated cold front through New England. This will produce some showers through the mid-Atlantic northward to New York and New England. Steadier rain for eastern New England to start the day before moving offshore this afternoon, though in Maine it will continue throughout the day. Some of the rain will be heavy enough for localized flooding. That same front is going to be extending all the way into southern Florida, where there could still be a few showers moving through. The rest of the southeast will have calm weather after the stormy weekend. There'll be plenty of sunshine and a mild afternoon with highs in the 50s and 60s in the north, 70s across the Gulf Coast locations. This nice weather will also expand westward to the southern plains, where sunshine will provide a very warm afternoon for parts of Texas. Highs will be in the 80s and 90s. For both of these areas, the highs will be about 10 to as much as 25 degrees above the historical average. Now, we do have a storm moving out of the Rockies into the central plains today. Snow will continue in the northern and central Rockies into this afternoon, and then moisture will move through into the central plains and leading to some rain in parts of Kansas into Missouri, and then snow mixing farther north into Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, and even Iowa. North Dakota into northern Minnesota and Wisconsin will remain dry today, though clouds will remain in place with highs in the 20s and 30s. And then finally, we will see some drier weather moving into the northwest. That's the weather across America. It's going to be a mild day in Phoenix, Arizona, with plenty of sunshine and a high of 73. Boston, Massachusetts will have a windy, rainy start with some breaks in the clouds later in the day and a high of 56. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Azerbaijan's president has formally accused Russia of accidentally shooting down a passenger jet on Christmas Day. The plane, which departed Azerbaijan's capital and was heading to the Russian city of Grozny, veered off course reportedly to avoid bad weather. Damage to the aircraft showed puncture marks similar to when a plane is hit by surface-to-air armaments. 38 people were killed. Russian President Vladimir Putin did apologize for the incident happening in Russian airspace, but admitted no fault. Meanwhile, in South Korea, a Boeing jetliner carrying 181 people crash-landed at an airport, killing nearly everyone on board. Correspondent Naeun Kim has the latest on the crash investigation.
In one of the country's worst aviation disasters, the Jeju airplane slammed into a concrete fence when its front landing gear reportedly failed to deploy. The flight was returning from Bangkok and crashed while landing in the town of Muan, south of Seoul. The passengers were predominantly South Korean as well as 2 Thai nationals. Investigators are now assessing the wreckage of the aircraft. The CEO of Jeju Air, Kim Il-bae, bowed in apology to the victims' families during a news conference. He said the cause of the accident will be determined by an official investigation. I'm Naeun Kim.
Two men in Oregon found dead in a state park in Washington state. Search teams, including 6 volunteers, air surveillance, and canines, went looking for the 59-year-old and 37-year-old when they failed to return on Christmas Eve. Authorities say the pair went into the woods searching for Sasquatch, the legendary ape-like creature known as Bigfoot. After 3 days, the search ended when the men's lifeless bodies were found in a heavily wooded area. Police say the men, whose names were withheld, were not prepared for the rugged terrain, snow, and freezing temperatures when they ventured out on their hunt. When we return on America in the Morning, Wall Street's Santa Claus rally. We're back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, always putting clients' interests first. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. In with today's report, CNBC's Peter Schacknow.
If you follow the financial markets, you've no doubt heard about the traditional Santa Claus rally. History shows us that since 1969, the S&P 500 rallies an average of 1.3% during this time, encompassing the final 5 trading days of the old year and the first 2 of the new year. Well, the first 3 are in the books, and they haven't lived up to the usual billing, with the benchmark index right around break-even after Friday's sell-off. Ironically, that may be because of the very good year the stock market has had, according to Jenny Harrington, CEO of Gilman Hill Asset Management.
Let's say your stocks are up about 30%. Bonds are flat. So if you started the year with a 60-40 equity fixed income split, right now you've got 66% in equities and 34% in bonds. Those numbers really are huge. Right, that's an enormous divide to need to think about peeling off 6% of equities and then bumping up another 6% of bonds just to get back to where you started.
Santa Claus still has 4 more trading days or all of this coming week to make up for lost time. A few more notes on the just concluded holiday season. LendingTree reports that 36% of American consumers took on new debt for holiday shopping. Among those who did, the average debt was just under $1,200, up about 15% from a year ago. Netflix averaged just over 24 million viewers for the 2 NFL games that aired on Christmas Day. That's the most ever for a game appearing on a streaming service. And the Christmas holiday was very good to the Disney movie Mufasa, the Lion King. Just a week ago, movie industry watchers were calling its box office performance a disappointment, but it's been shooting up the charts since then, boosted by a $14 million performance on Christmas Day alone. Paul Dergarabedian, senior media analyst at Comscore, says the entire movie industry has staged a notable comeback this year.
Considering the headwinds we had, the strikes and the work stoppages impacted production, and that threw everything off, but we sure got our groove back here at the end of the year with an incredibly diverse slate of films on the docket over this past week. And the final week, we have our final weekend of the box office year coming up. This is great for movie theaters, and this is no flash in the pan. 25 and 26 are going to be particularly strong.
2025 could be the year the stock market will list shares in OpenAI, the parent company of the popular artificial intelligence interface ChatGPT. OpenAI is changing its corporate structure into a for-profit company, and as part of that will have shares available to private investors. That's a possible step toward going public. On today's watch list, the National Association of Realtors will be out with its November report on pending home sales, a measure of home sale contracts signed but not yet closed. And expect the rush to start for gift returns this week, with the National Retail Federation predicting returns of nearly $900 billion this year.
Thank you, sir. CNBC's Peter Schacknow. Giuliani back in court when America in the Morning returns after these messages. Thanks for listening. This is America in the Morning. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani will return to court in his election misinformation case later this week. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
A federal judge is signaling that Rudy Giuliani's contempt hearing next Friday might not end so well for the former New York City mayor and one-time personal lawyer for President-elect Donald Trump. Judge Louis Lyman issued an order Friday in which he was dismissive of what he describes as attempts by Giuliani and his lawyer to dodge providing information to lawyers for two Georgia election poll workers who won a libel case against him. The election workers were awarded $148 million in the defamation case, and their lawyers have been trying to recover Giuliani's assets to collect the judgment. Julie Walker, New York.
Well, since I'm here today, it clearly wasn't me, but somewhere in a small Northern California town, someone walked into a convenience store and walked out as the winner of the giant Mega Millions drawing. More than $1 billion. With more on the story of all of our new best friend, here's correspondent Jackie Quinn.
The winning ticket for Friday's Mega Millions jackpot was sold in Cottonwood, California.
To win the jackpot, you must match all 5 white balls plus the golden mega balls to get out your tickets.
That lucky ticket, worth an estimated $1.2 billion, was purchased at a Circle K convenience store in Cottonwood, a tiny community of 6,000 north of Sacramento, California.
Congratulations to the winner.
Isher Gill is the store owner's son.
We're just very thankful and excited.
They've been in business for years and now look forward to sharing their cut, $1 million, for selling the winning ticket.
We're definitely going to put it back into our local community and give back to the customers who support us.
The winning numbers for the 5th highest Mega Millions jackpot ever were 3, 7, 37, 49, 55, and the mega ball was 6. I'm Jackie Quinn.
America in the Morning for Monday, December 30th, 2024, is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Jimmy Carter spent just 4 years in the White House, but said he had no regrets. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Elon Musk catching grief over a controversial visa program. I'm Clayton Neville.
Crash involving a fire truck and train under investigation, tariff talk at Mar-a-Lago, and a blue state Republican planning a political comeback.
Body cam footage released of New York correctional officers beating a prisoner to death. I'm Pamela Furr.
Trump reverses his stance on TikTok. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
The Christmas movies scored big at the box office this weekend. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Update now on active weather around the nation. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
After a series of storms over the past week, the Northwest will have relatively quieter weather. There will still be some showers around early today as the last of this parade of storms moves eastward. Farther south, it will be dry through the rest of the west into the southwest with plenty of sunshine. Highs for the area generally running from about 30s in the north to 70s farther south, which is near or slightly above average for late December. That last system will move out of the Rockies today and then shift into the Central Plains. Snow will continue in the northern and central Rockies into this afternoon, and then moisture will move into the Central Plains states, leading to some rain through parts of Kansas, into Missouri, with snow mixing in farther north through eastern Wyoming, into Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. There could be a few inches of snow on the northern side of the storm in the plains, with up to a foot of snow in the mountains. Another storm is now heading north of the eastern Great Lakes, and its associated cold front is extending into New England. This will produce showers through the middle Atlantic, northward to New York and western New England, and then a steadier rain for eastern New England to start the day before the front moves offshore this afternoon, though some rain will continue into the afternoon in parts of Maine, and some of that rain will be heavy enough for localized flooding. And this same front will extend all the way to southern Florida, where a few showers will also move through. The rest of the southeast will have calm weather after this stormy weekend. There'll be plenty of sunshine and a mild afternoon with highs in the 50s and 60s in the north and 70s across the Gulf Coast locations. Nice weather will also expand westward through the southern plains, where sunshine will provide a very warm afternoon for parts of Texas with highs in the 80s and 90s. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States, has died at the age of 100, surrounded by his family at his home in Plains, Georgia. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani looks back at his life and legacy.
Jimmy Carter came out of seemingly nowhere to win the White House and was sent home after a single term.
My name is Jimmy Carter, and I'm running for president.
Carter spent just 4 years in the White House, but said he had no regrets.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
Carter was one of just 10 incumbent presidents to lose a re-election bid. He was only 56 years old.
I have been blessed by graduating from the White House at an early age.
Carter had already been a peanut farmer, a Navy officer, a governor, and later Nobel Peace Laureate, freelance diplomat, home builder.
I've had an exciting and adventurous and gratifying existence.
The University of Virginia's Barbara Perry notes many fellow historians put Carter in the middle of the presidential pack.
Many people thought he was a failed president,
including one of his successors.
He was a nice man. He was a terrible president.
Perry disagrees with Donald Trump.
The positives of his administration of 4 years probably about balanced out with the negatives.
She remembers watching the Carters walk the inaugural parade route, the first time a first couple did that.
And so he should be given credit for bringing the presidency back to the people.
But Perry says the irony is the very characteristics that landed a long shot in the White House.
That he wasn't from Washington, that he was a man of the people, for the very reasons that in 4 years people tossed him out. Oh, he doesn't understand Washington. He doesn't get the Congress. He won't work with them. He doesn't get the media.
History should remember him as having led an epic American life.
Biographer Jonathan Alter says it was an extraordinary life.
He will likely go down as one of the most misunderstood and underestimated figures in American history.
Perry says, like with most ex-presidents, a nostalgic golden glow will shine on Carter.
He'll probably have a very positive lead from this mortal coil.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The New York Times is reporting the 39th president is expected to lie in state in both the Georgia state capitol and the U.S. capitol. President Biden orders American flags to be flown at half-mast for 30 days. He's also marked January 9th as a national day of mourning. President-elect Donald Trump is voicing support for a visa program that has sparked bipartisan debate. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The H-1B visa program allows employers essentially to seek out workers who are believed to be talented.
The context that we need to, I think, keep in mind here is that the American workers have been left behind by this economy. Many factory jobs have been sent overseas, and I think the abuses of the H-1B program have been evident.
Missouri Republican Senator Eric Schmidt was on Fox News Sunday.
I think the solution here, President Trump has actually articulated as 2020, is to reform that system and get rid of the abuses, make it merit-based.
Billionaire Elon Musk, who will lead the new Department of Government Efficiency known as DOGE with Vivek Ramaswamy, cut some grief from some MAGA Republicans after he commented on the H-1B program. He called the visas broken and said that he'd go to war on the issue. Some devout Trump supporters like Laura Loomer and others ripped Musk for that stance. A day later, he backtracked slightly and said that he's always said the program needs reform.
And what makes American culture extraordinary is that we celebrate the talent and genius and skills of people of diverse backgrounds.
Democrat Ro Khanna spoke with Fox News Sunday.
What makes America as exceptional is that we are a magnet for the world's talent. It's great that Elon Musk comes here. It's great that Jensen, who started NVIDIA, is doing it here and not in Taiwan.
President-elect Donald Trump chiming in over the weekend, telling the Post that, quote, "I've always liked the visas. I've always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them." I'm Clayton Neville.
A horrific crash. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the weekend train versus fire truck accident in Florida. Correspondent Julie Walker reports this was not the first time a train wreck happened at this exact rail crossing.
Brightline releasing video from their high-speed train as it barrels toward a fire truck on the tracks in Delray Beach, Florida, Saturday morning. The video stops right before the moment of impact.
There were 3 firefighters that were transported. 2 of them were trauma alerted or deemed critical at the scene. Their status has since been upgraded to stable condition.
15 people were injured. According to accounts and video, the fire truck stopped at the gates for a passing freight train. Thinking they were clear, the truck drove around rail crossing arms.
The question here is that everybody's asking, like, how would a firefighter how could a firefighter filled with, go into a car accident, that they got a call? What would he be doing in the middle of the track?
Emmanuel Amaral got there just after it happened.
The front of that train is completely smashed, and there was even some of the parts to the fire truck were stuck in the front of the train. But it split the car right in half. It split the fire truck right in half, and the debris was everywhere.
The NTSB is already investigating 2 other crashes involving Brightline that killed 3 people earlier this year at the same crossing.
When that Brightline goes by, the whole place shakes. I mean, it goes by at 80 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. It's fast. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people were talking bad about it at the scene.
More than 100 people have died after being hit by trains since Brightline began operating in 2017. Most of those suicides or people trying to run across the tracks. I'm Julie Walker.
Among the stories we're covering next, Canadian delegation arrives at Mar-a-Lago and new life for TikTok. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. I'm John Trout. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. A pair of Canadian officials traveled to Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate and met with the president-elect's team to discuss a potential tariff showdown. Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports.
2 Canadian cabinet members met with the incoming U.S. president's team to try to avoid sweeping tariffs. Finance Minister Dominique LeBlanc and Foreign Minister Mélanie Joly met with President-elect Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary nominee at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Howard Lutnick said he would relay their concerns. Trump has threatened to impose sweeping tariffs as high as 25% if Canada does not stem what he calls a flow of migrants and fentanyl into the U.S. Canada's Conservative Party leader, meanwhile, is criticizing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whose popularity's been sinking.
With a U.S. president coming in threatening tariffs early next year, we cannot have a chaotic clown show running our government into the ground.
Audio courtesy of CTV. I'm Jackie Quinn.
An investigation is underway after a man died one day after several corrections officers purportedly pummeled the inmate Robert Brooks at a facility near Utica, New York. Pamela Furr reports as the family of the victim is demanding answers, and before the investigation is complete, New York's governor has ordered more than a dozen prison workers be fired.
New York Attorney General Letitia James released body cam footage showing the beating of the man on December 9th. The incident shows correctional officers punching and kicking Brooks repeatedly while he was handcuffed on an infirmary bed. He died in the hospital the next day.
I do not take lightly the release of this video, especially in the middle of the holiday season. But as Attorney General, I release these videos because I have a responsibility and duty to provide the Brooks family, their loved ones, and all New Yorkers with transparency and accountability.
James goes on to say the videos are shocking and disturbing. Meanwhile, Governor Kathy Hochul has ordered 14 workers at the prison be fired. Until then, those correctional officers, sergeants, and a prison nurse have all been suspended without pay, except for one officer who has already resigned. Brooks had been in prison since 2017 on a 12-year sentence for first-degree assault involving his girlfriend. At this time, we do not know what prompted the altercation, but an autopsy obtained by local NBC News affiliate WKTV does show that he did die at the hands of another. I'm Pamela Furr.
A former Massachusetts Republican senator and ambassador during President-elect Trump's first term is contemplating a return to politics. Fox News is reporting that Scott Brown, currently the lead singer in the rock band The Diplomats, and who also ran unsuccessfully for a U.S. Senate seat in New Hampshire, is considering a 2026 run for Congress and has been meeting with various Republican and conservative groups in the Granite State. If Brown moves ahead and launches a campaign in the months ahead, it would potentially set up a high-profile rematch with incumbent Democrat Senator Jeanne Shaheen. In 2010, Brown made business headlines when he ran and won in Deep Blue, Massachusetts in a special election to serve out the term of late Senator Ted Kennedy. America in the Morning continues. In a reversal of the Biden administration plan, and also one of his own, President-elect Donald Trump is asking to halt the upcoming ban for the social media app TikTok. Here's Chuck Palm to explain in today's Tech News.
President-elect Donald Trump has urged the United States Supreme Court to pause implementation of a law that would ban the social media app TikTok or force its sale. Trump said he would like time to pursue a political solution to the upcoming sale of TikTok by the Chinese owner ByteDance or force a ban in the United States. Last year, Congress voted to ban TikTok unless they sell the app by January 19th, which happens to be one day before Trump takes office. D. John Sauer, the president's lawyer and pick for Solicitor General, said that President Trump takes no position on the underlying merits of the dispute, but instead he respectfully requests that they consider staying the deadline while the court considers the merits of this case. This is a reversal of Trump's decision that he wanted it banned in 2020, but he previously met with TikTok CEO in December and said he had a warm spot for the app while also receiving billions of views on the social media platform during his presidential campaign. I'm Chuck Palm.
Monday Sports is in. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
NFL Week 17 Sunday, the Vikings held off the Packers 27-25 to take sole possession of first place in the NFC, pending tonight's Lions-49ers matchup. Sam Darnold, 3 touchdown passes and a career-high 377 yards. Minnesota has now won 9 in a row heading into their Week 18 showdown in Detroit. The league has announced that will be the Sunday night season finale. Last night, the Commanders clipped the Falcons 30-24 in overtime to secure a wild card. That result also clinched the NFC West for the Rams. The Eagles clobbered the Cowboys 41-7 to clinch the NFC East. Saquon Barkley had 167 rushing yards. That puts him over 2,000 for the season and just 100 yards away from Eric Dickerson's NFL record.
You know, we felt that this would be the best place for me. And one thing that we wanted to do was also be part of a great team. But, you know, I felt like there was still out there that I could do for my legacy and for my name.
Also, the Buccaneers pounded the Panthers. 5 TD passes for Baker Mayfield. Tampa Bay back on top in the NFC South. In the AFC, the Bills buried the Jets to lock up the 2 seed behind the Chiefs. Dolphins stayed alive in the wild card chase with a win over the Browns. Giants knocked the Colts out of the running. Drew Lock with 4 scoring passes and a touchdown run as New York snapped a 10-game losing streak. NBA, the Thunder rolled over the Grizzlies, won 30-106 for their 11th consecutive win. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 35 points. Hawks soared past the Raptors. That's Toronto's 10th straight loss. NHL, the Golden Knights snuffed out the Flames 3-0. 31 saves for Ilya Samsonov. Vegas now with the best record in the NHL and riding a 6-game winning streak. Red Wings beat the Capitals, but Alex Ovechkin scored for the 2nd straight game after missing more than a month with a broken leg. He's now 25 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky's all-time scoring record. That's Monday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. Judge doesn't dally with Diddy. That's when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The judge overseeing the case against jailed music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, as well as rapper and businessman Jay-Z, made a ruling in their case and also had sharp words for one of their attorneys. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports.
A federal judge says an Alabama woman accusing Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs of raping her when she was 13 years old can proceed anonymously For now, the judge also chastised the lawyer representing Jay-Z for filing combative motions and using inflammatory language against the woman's lawyer, calling the actions inappropriate. While the woman can proceed anonymously at this early stage of litigation, she may still have to reveal her identity later if the case proceeds. Combs remains jailed in New York, awaiting a criminal trial on federal sex trafficking charges. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Big weekend at the box office over the Christmas holiday weekend. America in the Morning entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has more.
Leftovers topped the holiday box office, but some new releases did also get some nice gifts.
There will be one Lion King.
The Lion King prequel Mufasa took the lead on Christmas, commanding $64 million for the 5-day frame. This puts Sonic 3 in second place with $60 million.
He is much more impressive than the hedgehog I fought previously.
Dude, I'm standing right here.
But for the traditional 3-day weekend, Sonic beat the King of Beasts $38 to $37 million.
Try to keep up.
Both films are also scoring big overseas, with Mufasa's international numbers beating its domestic total by a factor of almost 2 to 1.
This creature is a force more powerful than evil.
Robert Eggers' atmospheric remake of the 1922 Dracula film Nosferatu took third place with $40 million for the 5-day and $21 million for the 3-day.
I am Oz, the great and powerful.
Fourth place went to Wicked as it continues its end-of-the-year dominance with $32 million since Christmas and $19 million over the weekend.
What's up, girlie?
Molly?
Can I get a chee-hoo?
The animated juggernaut Moana 2 held on to fifth place with $28 million for the 5-day and $18 million for the 3-day.
I'm not sure they want to hear what I want to play, Johnny.
Another Christmas Day newcomer, A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic, was in sixth place with $23 million. I'm Kevin Carr.
A hotel made famous by the 1960s legendary rock group The Doors went up in flames in Los Angeles. Correspondent Naeun Kim has more on the story.
The Los Angeles Fire Department says the 4-story building burned for nearly 2 hours. More than 100 firefighters helped bring the fire under control. Speaking to reporters, LAFD spokesman David Ortiz says people without permanent homes have been using the former Morrison Hotel for shelter.
All the people that were inside this building are believed to be unhoused. There were dozens of people inside the building that self-evacuated for the most part.
That audio is courtesy of KABC TV. The hotel was featured on the album's cover that showed legendary frontman Jim Morrison in the middle. That album was viewed as a comeback for The Doors. I'm Naeun Kim.
America in the Morning for Monday, December 30th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.